Hello, everybody. It is me, Game Penguin 21, and today, oh boy. So I know that I'm a little late to the party on this, probably a week late to this, but I wanted to make sure that at the very least I was going to be talking about talking points that not a lot of people were kind of talking about. Now, the price of the PlayStation was revealed last week, the PlayStation Pro. So it is no longer rumors that are just going around about this, but the price, performance, and everything about that has been memed on to at least somewhat death. But today, we are going to be talking about it a little bit more, and a little bit more interestingly. Shall we? So, again, what happened last week? Well, of course, like I said, there was the PlayStation Showcase kind of thing, or a little bit of a PlayStation Showcase, where essentially PlayStation 5 Pro is available for from a minimum of around $700 USD to a more maximum of nearly $1,000 within specific regions. And there's also it's ridiculous, as well as it doesn't come with a vertical stand nor a disk drive, both of which are separate purchases, meaning that the whole thing is mostly like an $800 console, because it can't get some of those other stuff. Wow. Jesus Christ, Sony. What are you on, and where can I get some, I guess? Because the people trying to defend this in the ways that they are is insanity. So with that being said, if you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any way, shape, or form, links down to everything in the description below. But let's get started. Starting, of course, off with Mr. King Thrash Gaming. I wanted to do this section because this section is very interesting. Because apparently, according to King Thrash, at least the day of this actual thing, again, you gotta remember this stuff is last week, but I take my screenshots very quickly. Last week, he basically said, hey, bro, nobody is thinking about PC with the Pro, bro. We thinking PlayStation. The insecurities are wild with you fake PCMR guys. Y'all are irrelevant to us. We are massively relevant to you, though. For some reason, y'all be watching even though you LGBTQ guy cope. Totally. We're totally the ones that are going to take the PS5 and, compare it to the PC. We're totally going to be the ones that are talking about, the PlayStation 5 Pro is very much the same as a RTX 40 series, which was a comparison I kept seeing. Or, much like, say, Porter Rock here, who literally is comparing the 4090 to a PlayStation 5 Pro with I don't get how it's okay to sell a $1,500 GPU, which the mark is probably triple the cost of what actually takes to build a PS5 Pro, which he's maybe might make $50 in profit per sales is taboo. Apparently, console gamers aren't allowed to get better hardware. No, you're allowed to get better hardware, absolutely. There's no denying that. It's just that the hardware that you get for the price that you paid for a lot of people right now is not only being memed on, but is essentially, this is bullshit, we shouldn't pay for this, because, it's not good. There's not enough improvements, and there's not enough justification for this game console to exist. Whereas with, say, this Asus 4090, this graphics card is going to last you at least 5 to 7 years, maybe even more than that. Because, again, I have a literal laptop that I've used for about 8 years now. It's in more of its retirement moment. I continue to bring this up. But this laptop right here that sits beside me is still in use, still has enough power, and is mainly now, again, enjoying its retirement as my music hub. And that's fine. I mean, I cleared the thing out for the most part. I might need to clear it out again and redo it. But it has a ton of my music. It has a ton of the stuff that I need to do music streams. And that's just what I do. So, it was the same price as the current actual graphics card of which you're talking about actually was cheaper than that. But this thing's 8 years old, so still stomps the console. But of course, Mr. King Thrash himself also had to come back and say basically 1080p, 1TB, $800 handheld. No complaints over this console that plays only third-party games when he's talking about the Asus ROG Ally. Sir, you do understand what a handheld PC is, right? And how, yes, this is $800, but it comes with a 1TB SSD as well as a 120 hertz FF8 FHD monitor, as clearly shown in this. This is also, I believe, from Best Buy. So Best Buy doesn't always have the best prices, so you can probably even find this for cheaper on, say, I think Amazon, if I'm thinking about this correctly. Maybe even less so if you get it secondhand. Again, this is a new product that is made by a PC building company that is in the form of a handheld. I mean, again, you can, if you want to get something like this, I would recommend more a Steam Deck personally, because you don't get the stuff because this is a Windows machine, and that's fine if you want a Windows machine. It's not the greatest, but I mean, I have my Steam Deck. I spent about $500-$600 on it, and it still stomps a lot of the console. That thing can play Elden Ring pretty solidly. I mean, it's not. Again, I'm not looking for the greatest performance with that, but I mean, I thought you were the one that said earlier that there was no comparison, or people were, in the console side, were not going to compare this to, say, the PC. But of course, Nicola, who is, again, I'm not a pony, obviously, talks about how tomorrow people with this whole setup of, oh, we have all these cool things, and talking about how $700 for a Pro is too expensive. Yes, it is too expensive, especially for that price point when you don't get some of the basic essentials such as a stand or the disk drive or really anything apart from the console and maybe a controller. But even then, that's still a bit dubious. But he also then comes back with another one a day later talking about how your console costs too much and how it's like, so does your PC. I mean, that depends, because again, people have built equivalent PCs that are better than consoles for around the same price of $700-ish. So who really is spending too much on money for that? You know, because we have a bunch of variable prices. I mean, again, to use the cheapest example, my old PC is around $500. It had a GTX 1080, I think. It also had an upgrade of some RAM and some pretty decent amount of storage and fast devices and things like that. It wasn't the greatest, but it was still worth every penny that I spent on it. It spent many years doing all the stuff that I could game on it, but then I had to donate it to my mom because she, needed a work PC, and I have a really good PC that I wasn't using because I got a new PC. And it is still doing it. And she complimented me enough times, basically saying, this PC is super fast. I'm like, gee, it's almost like I have enough knowledge to know how good a PC is and how long it can last and what stuff it would be good for. Now, the one thing that I wanted to point out before we continue is that if you're doing so bad that Opera GX has decided to come out of the woodwork and roast your ass, such as in this one with notice how it's only 9 minutes long because they don't have any games to show. Jesus Christ. Like, all that I can say, PlayStation, is apply aloe vera liberally to the burn wound. God damn it. But of course, Nicola comes in with another interesting reason as to why you probably shouldn't buy this thing, because since it really seems to be the last Sunday with unconfirmed PS5 Pro, here's the latest predictions. $699 digital-only disc drive sold separately, release of November 14th. I believe that this is about correct if we look at this. Well, actually, no, they got the date of... No, they didn't. Yeah. But I think that this was about pretty much correct. The digital only with digital disc drive, and $700 is again one of those things. But this was done September 8th, as you can see by the date at the bottom there. So nothing really to report on that. But I wanted to do this because there was this one, which was basically retweeting this tweet here with 428 Mushashi, saying, I bought a PS5 Black Friday 2020. If Sony announces a PS5 Pro, I will boycott PlayStation, screwing over their customers who bought into this generation under false pretenses. God damn. Everything that's come out I could have played on my PS4 or was launched broken and buggy. F Sony. I mean, that's fair. Like, that's very fair. And it wasn't just him being upset about that. With Rob playing games here, saying that was a nice PS5 Pro ammo up until the end. At PlayStation, you're out of your effing minds. With Dragon Dalby again saying gotta buy the disc drive separately, with the basic explanation here. And again, you can see that in Japan it has 119,980 Japanese yen. Jesus Christ. Now I am not sure specifically onto that price, but I'm fairly certain if I know my conversion correctly, that is about 1,000. Ooh, bumped the microphone there. That is about 1,000 USD, at least equivalent. It's not 1-to-1, obviously, because I don't know Japanese stuff. But it does have a 2 terabyte SSD, a DualSense wireless controller, and a copy of Astro's Playroom pre-installed. Well done. Well done. That'll do it. That'll fucking do it right there. That'll justify the price. Just give him your pretty decent tech demo. But of course, with other people defending it being like TM here, basically saying tomorrow Xbox Series X funeral, I will be like in a little dancing guy, because you know you gotta defend this thing. You gotta make sure that you're shilling that company. It's a great time. But Mighty Keith here, of course, coming in with them just build a PC boys right now, and me sitting pretty. I'm like, yeah, I am sitting pretty because I have a pretty decent PC that I paid a good amount of money for. And, you know, got it as a gift for myself, and it serves its purpose, and it's very, very, very nice. And not only that, what else was there? I was going to say, oh yeah, totally no one playing or comparing PlayStation 5 Pro to, you know, PC at all, you know. But Nib comes in here with trying to, again, justify the whole, oh, they're increasing the price in this, saying, yes, economy/inflation are factors, but I believe if Xbox was strong competition, PlayStation likely couldn't be as brazen and may have had to consider more subsidiary and less margin. This is the future we'll get to used to now. ESP, as more Xbox games come to PS at a higher cadence. I think that this would have been the problem regardless of it, because PlayStation right now is just like, we want your money, whereas, you know, Xbox is trying to be the more affordable one. And yeah, if they get this brazen with it, if we're given any of the other tweets that we're continuously talking about here, is, you know, just how interesting this is. But as a very interesting comparison, we'll save that for later, actually. Basically, this person says a 700 Bo Talks Games says $700. And the first game we saw on the PS5 was a PS4 game, man. Holy Jesus. Really? Is that how they showed this thing off? Being a PS4 game. With, again, the Lux over here basically coming in with the funniest people in the world are all going to take screenshots of the PS5 Pro so they can all post. Notice how they're making a second PS5 before they are making any games. And I mean, is that a wrong assumption to talk about, though? Like, is that a wrong thing to talk about? How they're making a PS5 Pro before they're actually making any good games for the PS5 itself, like the base model? Like, is that a bad thing? Like, is that a bad thing to point out that they're not justifying the hardware that you bought with the software that you want with it that shows off this? Like, is that a bad thing? Is that upsetting? You know? But I think to round this off, we can go in and talk about how the PS5 Pro reveal, as pointed out by Amber here saying that the PS5 Pro reveal is at 78k dislikes and growing. This was again taken last week, so I don't know how specifically this has done that. I might update this when I go to do editing. But it's a disastrous miscalculation on Sony's part. Where do y'all think they've gone wrong outside of the price? I think it's just the price to performance isn't as good, and it doesn't justify buying a whole new console in this. But Kami here is the tweet that I really wanted to end off this whole video on, because he put together a quick mid-range PC build for about $1,300, and a PS5 Pro plus the disc drive is about $780. Now, again, he does point out that for $500 more, you get the following benefits. Free online, free cloud saves with a little bit of an asterisk. That's mainly free cloud saves, at least for Steam. I'm not sure if it's the same for other platforms, but I know that Steam does that. With much cheaper games, absolutely. Mods, higher fidelity and frame rates, yeah, up to 120 stacked, with sometimes even going up to 200 frames, but, PC Game Pass and day one Xbox games and hundreds of other titles. PS5 exclusives 1 to 2 years after launch, or sometimes PS5 games that are just launching on PC because they need more money. DLSS with frame gen. Very nice. The ability to tweak and customize settings. That's always good. Ability to upgrade one PC part at a time, or sometimes, again, upgrade it to a completely different PC. But that depends on your price point, and you can even resell parts. Continuous other benefits of a gaming PC. Could opt for even a cheaper model for a 1440p build, but I tried to use newish parts only, which is correct, because again, this price, even at $1,300, which a lot of PlayStation guys will be like, oh, well, that's still too expensive, and you're saying that $780 is too expensive? It's like, yeah, again, for someone who basically did $780, you can get a pretty equivalent PC, or even do one for better. You can literally look up prices of people building PC for under a specific price point, and not only does it tend to stomp all over the console above a specific price point, I guess. Again, the PC is very flexible. I, again, have no less than at least 5 to 6 PCs in my life right now. I have my work laptop, I have my music laptop, I have my desktop, and I even have my Steam Deck, as well as 1 to 2 other PCs that I've had in the past. Yeah, I've had to upgrade some of them, but that's because that hardware was usually about 7 to 9 years out of date at this point. This one is reaching about 9 years, at least my laptop is. So it all just depends on one thing or another. But overall, I think that'll about do it for this episode of I Rant Into a Microphone about something that I am passionate about, where it's just, to satiate the monkey with wearing symbols in my brain. If you like what it is that I do and want to support me in any way, shape, or form outside of a like and subscribe, which is always appreciated, and your viewership is always enough here, but for other monetary reasons and, to buy some stuff that I sell, links down to all of that in the description below. I do also do, my editing services if you really care, but, whatever. I do stream on Twitch, mostly on the weekends. Link down to the Twitch channel, links in below. It's going to mainly be the DJ live streams if I ever do decide to pick up normal live streaming. It'll be on this channel on YouTube because it just makes it easier. And I get a better revenue split. In any case, thank you again so much for watching. My name is GamePango21, and a peace. Off. Hey, man!